This is a community business experience, bringing together families, businesses, entrepreneurs, food vendors, community organizations, creators, and local leaders. The event focuses on connecting the community with local businesses and organizations.
Live entertainment.
Food trucks.
Full bar experience, kids on. Local merch vendors, business networking, brand exposure, family-friendly atmosphere, shopping vendors, community networking.
Who should participate? Business owners, organizations, food trucks, vendors, community organizations, creators, and service providers looking to grow, connect, and be seen by the community. Sponsors, vendors, food trucks, and community partners are wanting direct access to local families and consumers, opportunity to network with other businesses, brand visibility before, during, and after the event, social media promotion opportunities, community impact and recognition.
Vendor and sponsor spotlight features, face-to-face engagement with attendees, opportunity to generate leads and sales.
Banks and credit unions,
Insurance companies,
realtors, car dealerships,
medical offices, local restaurants, retail brands, fitness brands, youth programs, non-profits,
community organizations,
tech companies, construction companies,
beauty and fashion brands.
Custom standard range for small food vendors.
What, $150 to $500.
Recommended sweet spot for approximately 25 vendors.
$250 to $400 per tent.
Safest and easiest to sell price.
$300.
early bird, $200 to $350.
Late or prime spot.
$400 to $500.
To $360.
$300 per tent times 25 vendors equals 7.
$500.
$300 per tent times 25 vendors.
Electricity or power hookup,
Corner or premium booth.
Plus $50 to $150.
Extra space plus $75 or more. Optional percent of sales 5 to 8%.
Vendor spots are limited.
Vendor spots are limited. Sponsor opportunities are filling fast. Vendor and sponsor applications open now.
Yes. Okay. The seventh answer. What we're gonna do? She's gonna give you definitely the rundown on what you just saw, which was a very brilliant advertisement for those of you out there who are prospective entrepreneurs and want to get anything going on as far as making that money, and you have services you can offer. Well, the seventh answer, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna pass it over to you real quick so you can let the good viewers know what exactly we're watching and when this event is gonna take place. You ready, seventh answer? If so, I'm gonna pass the ball back to you real quick and give our listeners then the information they need, okay?
Yeah, the flyer pretty much speaks for itself. Like, that's pretty much, we're looking for vendors, people that's trying to be exposed by our platforms that we have. We have multiple platforms. We're trying to promote for other people and their platforms. I mean, there's a whole bunch of things going on in that take, dealing with business, trying to get sponsors. It's a whole bunch. So yeah,
Well, all right. Well, all right. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to get in on the action, I guess the seventh answer is who you want to contact. All right. But we want to welcome you now. Okay, wait, am I wrong? Seventh dancer? Go ahead, go. I'm sorry.
Yeah, all about events. Contact all about events. You can leave me a message on Messenger if you're trying to be a part of it. But like I said, we're promoting for different business. If you need advertisement, videos, we're doing all kinds of things. So get at me.
All right. And as you can see, my fellow black folk out there, where there's a problem, there's those who make solutions. So there's no room to complain anymore. You can't don't say, oh, well, I want to get something off the ground and I can't seem to get a foothold when there are footholds being offered now, right here in the Lion's Den, okay? No excuses. So with that being said, we want to welcome you to another episode again of the Lion's Den, the segment titled The Conversation Continues, talking about what's on your mind. And we're your hosts. And of course, you have always at the helm, ready to make things happen. The one and only, the seventh answer, Lady Karima, aka Black Beauty Inc., also known as Dark Delight, because in the beginning was darkness, and out of darkness the Lord brought forth the light. And the Lion's Den is the light of all lights, bringing forth illumination on all issues that need revelation. And I am your humble servant and brother in faith, Dark Storm. And as always, we thank you for allowing us to come into your mind, soul, and cipher. And please understand that from city to city and state to state, without no foul up, bloops, or blunders, with Lady Karima at the helm of this great social media experiment and experience, the Lion's Den, oh, you're going to experience all types of miracles and wonders. Miracles and wonders, because like the late great Aretha Franklin and Curtis Mayfield, oh, she's going to give you something that you can feel. And again, that is a truthality. Powerful, subtle, and direct. Again, listening, experience, and experiment. And of course, these wonderful attributes that you're now about to experience and experiment here on the Lion's Den are held up by the four pillars biblically of Isaiah, the 41st chapter, verse 21, which tells us that we should always produce our cause and bring forth our strong evidence. Of course, there's also 1 Thessalonians, the 5th chapter, at verse 21, which tells us that we should always be ready, willing, and able to prove all things and hold fast to that which is good. And the Lion's Den is good. The seventh answer is good. Our Dark Storm, we're good. We're good. As we bring it to you straight with no chaser when it comes down to the truth. And of course, as we're strong advocates of freedom of speech but responsible speech, we adhere to the book of Proverbs 13:3, which tells us what? He or that she that keepeth their mouth, keepeth their life. See, in the advocacy of freedom of speech, we also adhere by the good Lord rule that governs freedom of speech, and that is you must think before you speak. Please give careful consideration of what you say before you say it. Because if you say the wrong thing at the wrong time to the wrong soul, which goes into abuse of speech and abuse of speech, you might find yourself getting hurt. So freedom of speech, but responsible speech is what we adhere to in all that we talk about and discuss here on the Lion's Den. And last but certainly not least, we also adhere to the book of Joshua, the 1st chapter, at verses 6-7, which tells us to be strong and of good courage and be ready to take on all discussions that may leave people rankle here and there, but there's some things that have to be discussed, which is the theme tonight. As we continue our open discussions, the theme tonight is having conversations that a great many of you out there are afraid to have. Here on the Lions Den, however, as you've already witnessed in past episodes, yours truly sometimes got a little scrambled and discombobulated, but there were others that were ready to have these very high-powered conversations that you hear going on here. And of course, where there's the 4 pillars which uphold the foundation of the Lions Den, there are also the 8 eyes, because we bring ingenuity, intelligence, we bring integrity, inspiration, influence, independence, insight, and verifiable, irrefutable information, you all. And of course, you know, when you roll with the Lions, then you roll with one of the many factions of the anti-coon movement. And what's a coon? Spelled C-O-O-N, a complete, obedient, obvious, yes, a boss nigga. Well, we don't do that here. There is no Stephen from Django. No, there is no big black butt. No handkerchief head. None of that. Why? Because not only can we not be bought, we won't be sold. And of course, when you roll with the lion and the lioness, you are also rolling with the pride, righteous pride, Pride, because we're always, you know, we're always permanently ready in destroying evil, starting with our own. See, we don't walk as Mr. and Mrs. Super Self-Righteous or Mr. and Mrs. Super Israelite. We have our shortcomings like anybody else out there in the world, but, like diamonds with a flaw, the seventh answer and myself, we always strive to chip away the imperfections to reach perfection on approximation of. So, understand, it's better to have a diamond with a flaw than a perfect pebble, because see, a diamond with a flaw is still a diamond with much value. And again, you chip away the flaw and you get flawlessness. And one thing about the Lions Den, I will say, you all know, we are flawless in this one area. We rise to the occasion, again, to take on and tackle all types of conversations, even when you may not agree with us out there in Lions Den land, which makes us also the home of point, counterpoint, and in some circles that's called debate. But look, we all do that, and we do it in love. There are certain incremental differences we may have, the seventh answer, myself, and we hash it out, we duke it out, iron it out to reach that 100% perfection of agreement, which is a good thing. And that is what makes the Lions Den so unique, in that not only do you have the conversation continue, there are other varieties of programs and different discussions that from science, anthropology, archaeology, whatever floats your boat. The Lions Den offers that variety. When there are other souls that want to come in and vibe, click, and politic and have discussions of a different type. Also, to you haters out there, welcome. We welcome you too. We love when you come through, haters. And we know you're listening. You can't help but listen. You know why? Because even you haters out there, you adhere to a question that we here in the Lions Den always commonly ask. And that is, aren't you tired of being lied to? Of course you are. But still you hate the truth. You hate what we do. But haters, welcome anyway. And please understand that how you feel about us is how we feel about you. Haters, we didn't like you last night. We don't like you now. But we welcome you. And please understand, for anybody out there, we are liberated moderators, but be warned. In being liberated moderators, there are limits, okay? So, if anyone out there tries to come out here with some foolishness, you better understand that when you come into the lion's den, we hunt, we pray, that's P-R-E-Y, and discombobulate all fools, kooks, and crazies who dare come in here with their primitive social media skills, as Iron Mike Tyson would say, because your good is dead. Be warned, all right? And oh yeah, if he's listening, I want to put this out to CJ Pearson. Some of you may know who he is, some of you may not. But Mr. Pearson, I've been a long time watcher of you since you were a child over these last 14 or more years. All right? You have a lot of points and opinions that make me look at you like, what are you talking about? But I know you've been on a tangent lately talking about you want to take on any and everybody from independent media and so on and so forth. You've laid down gauntlets to a lot of people. Now, I heard you. We on the Lion's Den, we heard you, Mr. Pearson. And young man, I like you. I really do. But you better understand, even though I don't see eye to eye with Roland Martin, I'm going to take a page out of his book. Mr. Pearson, young man, we here on the Lion's Den, I accept your challenge. And if anybody out there who knows him, please let him know. Darkstorm has heard him. Young man, if you come here in the Lion's Den with all that MAGA crap, if you come up in here, we're going to welcome you. And we will have a discussion. We will go point, counterpoint, debate to the, how you say, wheels fall off. But please be warned that you're going to get yourself hurt. All right, young man? Now, I've been watching you since you were a child, okay? You have a lot of potential, but you on the wrong train and wrong track. In challenging those of us in independent black media, I don't think you should be doing that. You really shouldn't. You know, I've been young before, and I've been, how you say, cantankerous and caught up in know-it-all disease. I've been there, and I had to get spanked. So you're going to be Nino Brown, my Nino Brown, Mr. Pearson. If you come in here with that foolishness that you articulate and spew, you're going to get yourself hurt, okay? But not from a physical standpoint. But like I said, the Lion's Den, we hunt, we pray, and we discombobulate. So, be warned. Now, with all that, wait. I'm almost done. We've addressed the haters. Oh, yeah, and please, for those of you out there who might think like CJ Pearson, all you Magites, some of you still die hard, lovers of lies and foolishness, we here on the Lion's Den, the Seventh Answer, Lady Karima, and myself, Darkstorm, we always extend to you our deepest empathies and sympathies because we're not going to compromise for nobody. So if you can't deal with the truth, you can leave, skedaddle, get gone, please. Because my Negro and my Negress, understand, if you leave and never come back, you will not be missed. Just want to let you know. And last but certainly not least, please observe one of the primary house rules set forth by one of our other beautiful lionesses and family member, Iron Manor. who put forth the Lion's Den. When you enter, wipe your feet, mind your manners, conduct yourself in an orderly manner, and enjoy yourself. And so now, let's get it in. Let's get it in. Let's get it in. This is the Conversation Continues, open discussion where we welcome you out there in Lions Den land, our fellow conversationalists. If you want to come here and vibe, click, and politic, either on the subject matters that I will get started and launched, or if you have something that's on your mind that's relevant, intelligent, and we need to know, you're more than welcome to come here. And let's say you might disagree with certain topics that we have discussed here in the Lions Den, and you might want to engage in a point counterpoint. We welcome that too, as long as you come here respectful, and we will be hospitable hosts, and we will expect you to be a hospitable guest and follow the rules of engagement. And again, as long as you're not too out there, you'll be heard. But I have to say now, I gotta say, there are limits to that liberated moderator thing that we got going on. The seventh answer, she has an absolute zero tolerance. I forgot to mention that. Zero tolerance for blatant stupidity, where I might try to be, Mr. Understanding, a little too understanding there. She shuts it down with the quickness, real quick. I forgot to mention that part. But anyway, again, open discussion. The theme tonight, as put forth by the seventh answer, conversations that you're afraid to have. And you know what? Let's get it in. Let's go to Las Vegas, y'all. Let's take it back about 6 days or more. It's a story that, is a very tragic story that happened out in Las Vegas, Nevada, involving unalived victims Amanda Rosa and Victor Rosa at Smith grocery store. Miss Amanda Rosa was cut down by her ex-husband, identified as Alejandro Estrada, 43 years old. Apparently, there have been some ongoing disputes regarding alimony and child support monies that he got behind on, and in his anger with his ex-wife moving on with her life and his owing allegedly $2,800, he, in a fit of rage, that's Alejandro Estrada, 43 years of age, went into Smith's grocery store in Las Vegas, opened fire, and gunned down Amanda Rosa and Victor Rosa, her husband Victor Rosa. And that occurred in and around May 13th. The thing is, right, what makes this so tragic, all right, is that lives were lost. But we're living in a society where you have some people out here talking about racism does not exist. And we in the Lions Den, whenever we hear anyone say that, we'll let you know right then and there, unequivocally, we're not even trying to be politically correct. Anytime you hear someone talking about racism does not exist, that's somebody who's on drugs. Straight, they're on drugs. They're out their minds. And I'm going to tell you why I'm saying that so harshly and so venomously. All right? Now, not only did Mr. Estrada, that's the shooter, Mr. Estrada, gun down Amanda Rosa and Victor Rosa, he had two guns, one which was a semi-automatic, and another which was I'll just say machine gun. I'm not too swift on gun names, but it's so hard to keep up. but let's just say he had those tools that were ready to put a lot of people to sleep. And he was brought down by two unarmed black men. And the reason I'm going to stress their ethnicity, I'm going to tell you why. He was brought down by Mercani Clark and Darius Alston. Okay? Mr. Clark and Mr. Alston, unarmed, ladies and gentlemen, they were unarmed. Still recognizing the dire situation that was already in play and that other lives were definitely in jeopardy. They took it upon themselves to rush Mr. Estrada when he had finished, discharging his first assault weapon, and they proceeded to put the beats of all types on his person. Much needed force. They dealt with him, okay? And they brought him down. And you have some people hailing them as heroes. But ladies and gentlemen, let me show you how racism still exists. Let me show you how the white media, we're going to call it that, the white media, the corporate-owned media, MEDIA, they got the right acronym, MEDIA. And I learned stands for the most evil devil in America. Let me show you how white media is now spinning this. As a matter of fact, you out here probably just hearing this story, you wouldn't know or you won't be hearing about Mercani Clark and Mr. Darius Alston anymore, as there have been now lately deliberate media blackouts on them out hustling the police, outworking the police, and they went in unarmed and took down a very armed and extremely dangerous assailant. But now, do you know that right now there are questions being raised and talks and conversations being raised asking, should Mercani Clark and Darius Alston be brought up on charges, criminal charges? So now, because they beat the man into oblivion, they put it on him using reasonable force. Okay? Much needed reasonable force after he done killed two people and injured one and was getting ready to blast off on other people in the store. You have factions of the white media talking about should these two people, that's Mr. Mercani Clark and Darius Alston, be brought up on charges, y'all. See, sometimes when you hear some people question when they see certain things as far as crimes or things happening, why some people don't want to get involved, or they don't get involved. See, things like this. Now, please explain to me, because they beat this dude, and like I said, they put it on him. He's still walking around a little dazed and discombobulated and all out of sorts. But Alejandro Estrada is a stone cold killer, had clips and other guns ready to, or another gun ready to unload on people. But now, very foundational Black Americans, Mercani Clark and Darius Alston, there are certain forces within the media that are questioning, should these guys be brought up on charge? And they're actually floating this around. But see, this goes out to all you out there, and I'll name drop some. I'll name drop Larry Elder. I'll name drop Candace Owens. I'll name drop Jesse Lee Peterson, and I'll name drop CJ Pearson. I'll name drop all you out there talking about racism does not exist. Anyone else who talk, I'll name drop you, Morgan Freeman. I love your work throughout the years. I even loved you as a child when I watched you on the Electric Company way back in the day when you were I am Drac of the Pack. But when you sat your behind up there, Mr. Freeman, talking about racism does not exist and you don't identify yourself as a black man, okay, sir, seriously. And anyone who thinks like that, stories like this should make it very clear, extremely clear, that racism is alive and kicking in this country. These two men are heroes. Again, they went in unarmed and took down a very armed gunman. And now they're actually so-called media pundits floating the idea that they should be brought up on charges of possible excessive force. See, this is how deep this media narrative that black men are criminals and only commit crime. That even when we're heroes, even when we're doing the right thing, all right, it's criminalized. Or the white media will absolutely ignore it, which has been happening now where these two gentlemen's names aren't featured in any more subsequent stories. But yet, now for those of you who may not have heard of this story, here out of New York, in my neck of the woods of New York, you had white, supposed 24-year-old Army veteran Daniel Penny strangle a very emotionally disturbed, mentally ill black man named Jordan Neely. He strangled him to death after Mr. Neely was having a psychiatric episode or a mental episode. He was talking out of his mind on a downtown subway, and he was subdued. But Daniel Penny took it upon himself to strangle the man to death after they had him subdued. But Donald Trump and company and the MAGA bunch, if you remember, had that man hailed as a freaking hero. A hero. After he murdered a man, when they had him again subdued and he hadn't harmed anyone. That's Jordan Neely. Where here in the system of New York City, he had been in the system for years, and certain psychiatric institutions were turning him out back into the streets, knowing he was extremely afflicted and a possible danger to himself and to others. But my point is this here. The media, when Daniel Penny used clear excessive force on Jordan Neely, he was hailed as a hero. As a matter of fact, the governor here in New York, Kathy Hochul, said, well, all actions have consequences. But here we have now Makani Clark and Darius Austin, who put their lives at risk here in Las Vegas, took down gunman Alejandro Estrada, and now there are actually pundits out here still, despite the fact that the district attorney out there in Las Vegas is saying, wait a minute, these men are heroes. Why would I want to bring them up on charge? They're hoping that someone will still want to criminalize these men beating that man into the ground, despite the fact he murdered two people and they subdued him. They didn't kill him. But see, anyone talking about racism does not exist, a case like this should clearly let you know what you're dealing with and where we're at here in this country. In our last previous discussion, the issue how I brought up, with 90s era, brother, 90s era in part, when we had that powerful discussion about what transpired regarding Michael Jackson and the lies that were, fabricated against him. Racism is clearly in full effect. Here it is with all the pedophiles from Jeffrey Epstein on down, allegedly your president and others. Because those files, we still waiting on those files to be released. But I guess because it's all white men on the list, there's excuses, there's wrangling, there's distractions, there's a made-up war. And somehow, and in some way, everything that's wrong in America, somehow black people are always the face. Let's not forget, taking it back almost 30 or more years ago, some of you may have not been born, but those of you who were around, let's not forget how when you had late football superstar Orenthal James Simpson, better known as O.J. Simpson, he became the poster boy of domestic violence here in America after out there in California, they tried to make him be the lone killer of his ex-wife, Nicole Brown Simpson, and her pal, Ronald Brown. Does anyone remember that case? Oh, and I mean, they went all out as far as the prosecution was concerned to make O.J. Simpson guilty. And thankfully, Mr. Simpson had, at his disposal, $6 million and was able to hire Johnny Cochran, Barry Scheck, and a whole host of other, F. Lee Abraham and other powerful lawyers, all that represented him to the fullest and got him fully acquitted, although he was convicted in the civil court, which was stupid. But anyway, you get the idea. O.J. Simpson became the poster boy of domestic violence in this country. How about when you had that, I'll say miscalculated and ill attempt with Janet Jackson and what's this guy's name again? Justin Timberlake. And that whole ripping away one of her bra apparatuses, and there was a breastises exposed, okay? But yet Janet Jackson became what's wrong morally in the country. Never mind, you had Madonna and all the other white celebrities and women of that time strutting their half-naked behinds in all kind of risque music videos, if you want to call them. Well, I call them light porn. But still, Janet Jackson is what's wrong morally in the country, man. So anyone talking about racism does not exist in America, you are out your mind and you're on drugs. On this man, I'm not going to try to be politically correct. I'm not going to try to be diplomatic. When you have this here, this case alone, the case of, again, Alejandro Estrada out of Las Vegas, Nevada, who killed his ex-wife, Amanda Rosa, and her new husband, Victor Rosa, in Smith Grand grocery store. And again, you had Makani Clark and Darius Alston, two black men, unarmed, put their lives at risk, took this man down, and there are forces out here now trying to bring them up on criminal charges of excessive force. Can you believe that? And then you wonder why there are certain people who are sometimes reluctant to want to get involved with, certain issues that go on social wise. That's why. That's why. And it's utterly ridiculous that, again, we here in 2026 have to have this discussion. And then here you have, again, we on the previous conversation continues episode, we had a discussion about the repealing of the Negro Voting Rights Act in certain locations of Mississippi and other southern states now. There are moves being made to weaken the black vote, all right? Because the Republicans want to get a 2/3. Here's what they did. They want to get a 2/3 control of the House, of these different houses in different states. And by doing so, according to other published sources, that there's going to be this attempt to take out and destroy the United States Constitution. But as far as I'm concerned, look, the Constitution is just a piece of paper. All right? Please. The bill, what they call the Bill of Rights. Man, look, it's clear. In these last 35 years, matter of fact, even when the inception of this country, the United States Constitution was of hell. All right? I almost lost my mind for a hot second. That's a document forged in hell. Let's not forget, as far as black people are concerned and the black experience in this country, the Constitution didn't even look at us as being human. We were considered 3/5, which mathematically is impossible. It's either you're human or you're not. All right? But the United States Constitution okayed slavery. It okayed, as far as rights were concerned, through the Dred Scott decision, okay, that black men have no rights that a white man has to respect. And that attitude is still in effect. But still, we see now the repeal of the Voting Rights Act. But I'm not up in arms about this. I don't care. There'll be some who say, well, wait a minute now, Dark Storm, wait a minute. Wait, you are wrong for feeling that way. Let's not forget that there were forefathers and mothers of ours who died so we could vote. No, they didn't. They didn't die so we could have the right to vote. They died, as certain other voices out there said, for us to be free, to have our own, and break away from this corrupt, rancid, rotten system. Okay, let's cut the bull shenanigans. Okay, let's just cut it. Now, I don't care. Let them repeal it. Take everything. Because it hasn't been benefiting us anyway. With the right wing, left wing, Kentucky Fried Chicken wing, the whole bird in this country's foul. And we know that already. So this is the conversation that we need to have. And like we've been saying here on numerous episodes, when you see white folks burning their own Constitution, burning their own American flag, and you hear discontent, and I mean discontent where they're talking about, yo, we're ready to hurt something and bring heat. You know, black man and woman, what you should be doing. Here it is, you have Democrats who see all this going on and let it happen. And they're letting it happen. You have Democrats who are more racist than the Republicans ever dared to be. Lyndon Baines Johnson and all the rest of them, please. No one cares. I know I don't care as far as this repealing of the voting rights. So what? Voting in this country for Black Americans has not benefited us as a whole. I'm not talking about token Negroes, selected Negroes who got a couple of biscuits with butter and jelly. But as a whole, where we as a people have our own businesses, be left alone in peace. No, we haven't been protected in this country. We've been bombed, burned, hanged, maimed, and we still are experiencing these things. But now there is a higher tide and spiritual tide that is now turning and changing. There are Democrats who are saying, oh, they're walking away from the Black vote. We don't care. Democrats, for some of you out there that need to hear this, there's a Black faction of us. We don't care. You're finished with us, we finished with you. How you feel about us is how we feel about you. No more sweet talking. See, we're not the damn civil rights generation. We're not our fathers and grandparents and great-grandparents. Generation X, Millennial, and Y, or Z generation, we are not with the foolishness. We're not with the bull shenanigans. We are not with wool being pulled over our eyes. Henceforth tonight, the theme of this conversation, we're going to say the things that a great many of you out there are afraid to say, but it need to be said. Because again, racism is alive and kicking in this country. There are moves being made every day to undermine Black America, Foundation of Black America. And then it doesn't help when you have other people that want to come in from other countries and join the anti-Black campaign. But see, here on the Lions Den, we're going to call a spade a spade. We're going to call everything out. So please understand, some of you are losing. There's some of them you out there losing your head and feeling some kind of way about this repeal of the Negro Voting Rights Act and blah, blah, blah. Look, we here strive to appeal to intellect and not emotions, okay? We strive to keep our emotions up out of any discussion. We try to keep a certain amount of emotional detachment as humanly possible, in order for us to be able to have these discussions in a clear and succinct manner, to be able to put you that are listening in a better position intellectually on how you are going to handle all the things that are being thrown at you and at us right now. It goes without saying, but it's going to be said, look, America is at a spiritual crossroads. You can see all throughout the earth and all throughout the world, but especially here in America in particular, there's a spirit, a dampening and stifling spirit that is now on this country. And everything is being revealed left, right, and center. And it's going to take those of us who are determined, who are focused, who understand from a divine prophetic standpoint, if you're a Bible believer, that we are the children of Israel, the real Jews the Bible speaks of, and that now our time to take our rightful place is in full effect. It is not about asking for it; it's going to be taken. Now, how about that? Let's just lay everything on the table, bare. That's what's happening in this country right now. For all our white listeners out there, and we know you're listening. See, your leaders yesterday and today have doomed you. They have doomed you. You are about, in the not so distant future, or maybe it may not be the day of tomorrow, but you're about to see a major upheaval. And some of you weren't with the white supremacists. You wasn't with all that foolishness yesterday. But, unfortunately, still, you allowed the overall majority of your people to go unchecked and how you say, yeah, with free reign. You didn't do enough to stop them. And you have indeed benefited from those criminal acts as well. And a great many of you haven't been in the forefront like you should on us getting our reparations. I see everything is connected. So we're not going to lie to you now. Now, this is the conversation you need to hear. Some of you have been wondering why a great many black folks have been delineating, walking away. Listen, it's like this. After Barack Hussein Obama was the president, and he was forced, I'm going to use the word forced, I'll use the word forced, or he chose to leave black folks hanging, right along with other Democratic presidents and candidates and front runners. All right? That's why now black people have had enough. We've had enough. Stop wondering why. You know damn why. It's like a man and a woman who are in a toxic relationship. One of the partners is not being appreciated. One of the partners sees their significant other giving everybody else accolades, every kind of reward, and every kind of love and affection except them. And they're doing all the heavy lifting and work in the relationship. Listen, no matter how good a heart a person has, he or she will get tired of being used after a while and not being appreciated. And that's where we're at now. So no more singing, no more dancing, no more freedom rides and all the other foolishness. No more appeals to reason. Because unfortunately, you can't reason with a beast. And there are a lot of demonic entities walking with earthly feet. Demons walking with earthly feet. Devils walking with earthly feet, doing a great deal of the ungodly, which is now where we say, look, if there is indeed a God, a power who is going to be absolute in judgment, now is a good time for him to step in and bring some disciplinary actions, much needed disciplinary actions, I'm going to say, all throughout this earth. But to our white listeners, we want you to understand, look, what you're feeling, the anxiety you're feeling is the exact same thing we felt before we fell as a people. You have a lot to pay for. This is not because your skin is so-called white, but because your actions and deeds have not been right on this planet. And all you other nations out there too, you've had your hand in this blood pool yesterday and today. That's why some of you now are getting your much needed wake-up call. You want to be down with team white supremacy. You want to run with MAGA. You want to embrace Israel and all what they're doing. Go ahead. Go ahead. Now you're getting your rude awakening, and now Black America ain't gonna be there for you. We're not here for you no more. We're not here to be your doormat you use us when you want. Wipe your feet on us and then get gone when you no longer. No. All that's over. See, we're not the mindless beast or dummies that you've convinced yourself that we are. No. So Democrats, especially now after you had Joe Biden at the helm for the years he was there, no, that you sealed your fate. And no, we don't. Even here, I'm not going to advocate anyone vote Republican, but it does take me back to what Malcolm X said. Here you have the wolf and the fox. Both of them are no good. You know where you stand with the wolf. The wolf, he has a bit more of a difficulty getting the lamb chop on the plate because he's just direct on who and what he is. That's Republicans. For a long time, the fox, however, was slick, sly, come off friendly. The Democrats. And you successfully have had a great many of our well-meaning baby booming generation and some Xers, Gen Xers, some well-meaning. You've had them for food for a long time. But just like you're done with us Democrats, we, the Black American, we are done with you too. And you're going to see more of it. A great many of us are getting out the way as this divine judgment, long overdue, is now coming into full fruition. That's what's happening. This has not been a political problem, a social problem. It's always been a spiritual problem. So this is the conversation that you out there in Lions Den land, you need to hear tonight. We're not going to give you a sermon now, mind you. I'm not going to give you a sermon. There are plenty of other individuals who will hammer home scripture after scripture after scripture. No, we want even you non-Bible believers to hear this message and receive this message, and you can feel it in your bones that something is definitely off. No matter what your system of belief may be. A lot of you see it. And see, when you have actions where blatant racism, here it is now, here it is, all these continual lies put forth by the media about Black people. How you think we're going to feel after a while? And then some of you have the nerve to get mad when we take up the responsibility to get our own media conglomerate or media page to discuss our issues and any other issue that we may encounter. You have the audacity to get mad, but you won't tackle some of you out there listening, the haters. Like I said, we know the haters. Your racism is so prevalent that though you listen to what we're saying, you'll still hold fast to the foolishness of both the Republican and Democrats. Talk about being conflicted. So that's what we're looking at now. Any of you out there talking about racism doesn't exist, like I said, you're on drugs. All right? And hopefully this broadcast is being heard. You know, some of y'all are going to be mad that y'all missed this live broadcast. But, if you're content with just listening, that's fine. Because we got a lot more we could talk about. So, yes, for those of you that may not be familiar with this story, out in Las Vegas, Nevada, involving Alejandro Estrada, 43-year-old, who last Tuesday, which is around May 13th, gunned down his ex-wife, Amanda Rosa and Victor Rosa. Look this story up. We want you to look it up. Typically, we might always bring out videos and stuff, but because we have certain haters, enemies within, they smile on your face, pretend, they'll go and report certain videos. If we use certain things over the years, we use, and then we get flagged. You know how that go. We understand that some of y'all, you do that. That's why for those of you, we'll still pull videos here and there, but we don't really want to use outside sources anymore, because I get tired of the foolishness. But we're going to continuing on, right? And on that note, right, now, the next story, besides this story that took place, we also have your president, ladies and gentlemen. Last time we were here, we were talking about, on the show titled The Great Commission, open discussion. We talked about how there was a $10 billion possible settlement or talks of a settlement that your president was now in negotiations with regarding some investigations that were done on him. And he sued the IRS and a few other institutions. And now, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't heard, now those talks may still be in effect, but right now also your president, along with the Republican bunch, are now about to take $1.7 billion to allocate to those who were loyalists or who were caught up in that January 6th insurrection thing some years ago. Yeah, your president, Pete Hegseth, and so many others, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, and so many others, they are now about to take $1.7 billion of your tax money, our tax money, and compensate their allies, their cronies, their peoples, their pals. Man, come on, y'all. More and more every freaking day. If you can't see why a divine judgment needs to come down on this society as a whole, then like I said, some of you out there, you're on drugs, and you want some powerful drugs too. Because now that means you just want to be blind. You just want to live in a fog and delusion. Because here it is. Oh, there's no money for healthcare. There's no money for free lunches to feed our children in these schools. There's no money for social spending and after school programs and so on and so on. There's no money for that. Oh, but there's plenty of money for war. Oh, there's plenty of money to pass out to the rich, mega rich, who are getting sweet tax breaks. I mean, sweet. Oh, there's plenty of money to give the foreign nations, Israel, Argentina, Ukraine, and other foreign countries who continue to have their hands out and are on a sweet welfare roll and sweet welfare deal. But meanwhile, homelessness and all types of other decadent and destructive elements continue to plague we, the people here in America. You know, America first. But then again, your illustrious president just last week, let it be known. I don't know if any of you saw that, you know, when he was going to the White House and a reporter asked him, well, Mr. President, what do you think about people who are suffering here in America right now? And he said, I'm not caring about the financial situations of people here in America. I'm not caring about that right now. My only concern is about Iran having a nuclear bomb. Boy, talk about saying the quiet part finally out loud. They don't care. They don't care. Now you understand that you have rogue elements of both the Republican and Democratic Party who are basically raiding the financial coffers of this country, and they have been doing what they want to do in these last 30 years or more, and that is make themselves rich, gut the system, so much so that a great many of you out there working right now, by the time you do retire, you may have nothing to fall back on because these broke down, decrepit, old baby boomer criminals are raiding the coffers of this country for themselves. And I tell you, y'all baby boomers, y'all are a horrible, selfish generation, man. Damn. How much is enough for you people? Like I said, your president gonna take $1.7 billion of our hard-earned money and give it out to his cronies and his loyalists, basically. And they're not even hiding it any longer. And so this is why you need mediums like the Lion's Den to come here and lay these things out to you, plain and simple. See, we're not on anyone's payroll to professionally lie to you. This is why we're able to come here week to week, day to day, whenever depending on how the spirit works, and we're able to be on the air. This is why we're able to come and speak the way we speak and talk the way we talk, because we don't have any kind of sponsors or anybody breathing down our neck telling us what we can and cannot say, because we're not depending on anybody's money. And see, when you are able to operate like that, that makes you a very dangerous adversary to those out there who are looking to buy anyone and keep people subdued. You see how blessed you are to have the Lion's Den. We don't come here looking to be celebrities. We don't come here to use our people's legitimate plights to launch us politically. Where again, we're looking for fame and notoriety. No, that's not what we're here to do. We're here to be one of the many voices and many, protesters. I'll use protesters. I will use dissenters, righteous dissenters, to point out all the muck and mire and corruption and gobbledygook that is transpiring right under our nose, and we can no longer afford to pretend that everything is good when it's not. That's why the White House just got swarmed with bees. Now, again, for all you non-Bible believers, but I'm willing to jump out there and say, for all you evolutionary believers, as you can see, the great evolutionist, he's very unhappy with what's going on out here too. They got swarmed with bees, and if you read biblically, whenever the Lord uses particular insects, reptiles, in a way where they swarm and plague a place, that is a divine warning. So Donald Trump and company, yo, you are now on notice. Don't forget that just a couple of months back, you had Israel getting swarmed and plagued by bees. I don't know if they're Wu-Tang Killer, bees on a swarm. But the bottom line is they're getting swarmed. The White House got swarmed. But here it is, even the forces of nature are tired. Now, what about you out there in Lions Den land? The man, they're going to take $1.7 billion to allocate to those who broke the law on January 6th. Unfreaking believable. And then some of you now understand when you hear myself say so poignantly, this is a horrible world that we have inherited. And bottom line now is that we now must take up the banner of responsibility. Only we can change this. We got to take up the banner of responsibility to eliminate and expose all these corruption and all this evil that is going on. There is no other way now. You can't reason with a beast. You just can't. And so again, like I said, if there is indeed a God, if there's indeed a force out here beyond us who gonna handle, like I said, he more than welcome now to step up and make it happen. Because see, these people don't deserve another goddamn day in power. And that's straight up. All these pedos and weirdos leading us into a proverbial hell. And for those of you who are now just joining the broadcast, welcome to the Lions Den. I know some of y'all you may not have gotten your notification, because you have certain forces out here blocking our algorithm. They may unsubscribe you on the low. And you have to come through here channel surfing, a social media worldwide web surfing, and luck out and find us. But if you were able to join, if you're able to join the broadcast right about now, welcome, welcome, welcome. And like I said, we're having an open discussion. The theme of tonight's open discussion, like I said, we are talking about conversations that a great many of you out there are afraid to have. Or if you out there in Lions Den land, one of our fellow conversationalists, you want to join the panel, you want to talk about something that's relevant and intelligent in your neck of the woods that you see going on, and you want to bring we the people's attention to it, you're more than welcome to join, as long as you're relevant, intelligent, as long as you're respectful, because we'll give you the respect. Or let's say you might not agree wholeheartedly with some of the facts, the frequently correct truths that I'm putting forth right now. You might not agree. If you want to engage in a point counterpoint, we welcome that too. It's a great way to be able to get to the truth and be able to show that we can have debates in the spirit of Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Medgar Evers, Fannie Lou Hamer, and so many of our true blue baby boomer generation who would be seen on televisions, debating and having conversations, even if they differed, the Bayard Roostons, James Baldwin, and so many others out there who were pioneers and put their lives at risk. Some of them wound up losing their lives subsequently. But again, if you might want to come here and you have a counterpoint, you're more than welcome to join us and all that. And we can vibe, flip, and politic on that level too. Because like I said, okay, we got, as a matter of fact, David Anthony. Oh, we got Jay Snake in the building. Hey, Jay Snake, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? And yeah, I was in the building and in the establishment of Dark Tales last night. Okay, that kid Daniel Holler and UPK Gans went all the way in. That was a very high-powered, revealing show. And here's what I'm going to say, right? In the comments section, I left an apology. And the reason that I put that apology in, because, see, it pained me to hear that here it is now, 35 to 40, almost 40 years up, that you have certain so-called Israelite camps and their leaders, some of whom I know on a personal level, some of whom I know are FBI and CIA operatives now. They took a bag, a huge bag. They're Rosicrucian controlled and owned. And why the good Lord ain't taking them off the planet just yet, I don't know why. But I apologize, because here it is. I did everything I could to offset and thwart these skunks, and they're still here. They are still in effect. Now, I do understand from a biblical standpoint. Now, again, a lot of you out there don't believe in the Bible. That's fine. That's your business. There's some of you Israelites who don't believe in Christ. That's your business. That's right. That's your right. But I do recall there's a scripture where Christ said that some of you, there are going to be some people who are here wicked. Some of you won't see death until you see me coming in the clouds. And whenever I read that, I always get chills down my spine, because in so many words what Christ was saying, that some of y'all, there's so many people out here, they're still being allowed to operate. Because when he does return, if and when that great exodus goes down, he gonna kill them on a personal level. There's some of us out here who see these things going on. They need to be dealt with now. In all honesty, man. But I apologize. I did everything I could to offset some of the wicked of our people yesterday who are still functioning. And unfortunately, from ISUCK, I suck. You got Israel United in Cain, and other renegade groups who are owned, who I know took the bag, who I was in attendance when the Rosicrucians came through in 1998, going into 1999, at a particular Israelite church and made an offer, a massive offer, which a great many kooks, crazies, and traitors took the money. They took the money. There's some who went their way, ain't been seen since. But you have Nathaniel Alagar of IUIC, Deacon Asap, Yawasop, and all of them. Come on, man. Evil. Yohana, he evil. So when I listened to that broadcast last night, it it destroyed me. It destroyed me because, yo, I came in to this light when I was about 18, going on 19 years of age. And I saw the wonderful aspects that the original Israeli school of universal practical knowledge had accomplished. We were on our way. We were doing our thing, and from 1988 going into 1995. But then, unfortunately, it took the Rosicrucians, it took the FBI and the CIA, it took the COINTELPRO, counterintelligence program, a long time to find an opening. And up from that time till now, the corruption has gotten worse and worse and worse, where I am utterly convinced it's going to take a God or some kind of divine power to come here and deliver us. I'm utterly convinced of that. And hearing what I was hearing last night, David Anthony, like I said, yo, 90s era, they went in, but Daniel Allah and UPK gang, they went in, man. And like I said, I was demoralized hearing all that because, like I said, nothing's changed, man. And this is where sometimes my faith takes torpedo hits because I'm wondering, okay, Lord, I try to be a rightful man, a correct man. I fret myself when I go wrong and go renegade, and you got these wicked dudes misusing the Bible, misusing the ministry, and benefiting from it, and destroying souls while they do it. And this is where I gotta catch myself and apply Proverbs 3 and 5, trusting the Lord with all my heart and lean not upon my own understanding. But yo, what I was hearing last night had me I will admit, it had me in my feelings, man. But yeah, I was there, David Anthony, in the comments section, leaving comments and all that. When 90s era said they were going to go in and the guests were going to be bananas, he did not over exaggerate. Daniel Allah and UPK gang, they went in. And I'm going to say this here, man. Yo, a lot of you out there, and I know you're listening to this broadcast. Some of y'all might be down with IUIC. Yo, I make no qualms in saying, yo, I hate Yohana. I hate Nathaniel God. I hate all of y'all with a perfect hatred, man. GOCC delete. I hate y'all. Yo, there are a lot of you out there that don't know how these people get down and how they're giving it up. But I was there when a massive Rosicrucian buyout was put into effect, and you had Nathaniel Allah, this dude, I'm going to use a Hebrew name, Nathaniel Allah, the same Nathaniel Allah who's the head of Israel United in Cain, Yahweh Sop. You had this dude named Rahab, who called himself Rahab, and this dude who called himself Ayasha, along with other members of a group called the House of David, who brought this demon in and laid out terms and conditions where, how you say, Big Daddy Satan was laying down terms and conditions on, hey, if you sell out to me, if you bow down to me, I'll give you all that you want. Here it is. We had our own. We could make it on our own. We claim we believe in the God, the one true God. But yet these men had more faith in Satan's money than the Lord benefiting all of us, because they want the glory and the power for themselves alone. And when I hear you know what the scriptures tell you. You'll know a tree by the fruit it produced. But the seventh answer myself, we were having a conversation earlier on. See, listen, guys, what you heard on that broadcast last night, it's nothing new under the sun. See, these dudes are the modern day Pharisees, Sadducees, Essenes, Hellenists. Okay, they're the modern day Epicureans today who sold out. And that's SOULED, sold out. Salih Binyan, it was wild. It is wild because you know what? Again, the things they were talking about, I've already seen in previous organizations and previous Israelite groups, but I know who's doing it. See, the United States government finally got its hooks into a great many Israelite groups, and these people have sold out. As a matter of fact, since I was dead, let me lay down the terms that I'm gonna say his name was Mr. Sidewinder, as in snake. This Rosicrucian dude, he laid out the terms and conditions that you must adhere to as an Israelite if you come into their circle, their umbrella. He laid out that that when it came to the Lord's name, he said distinctly, you can use any other variation. You can say Ahaya, you can say Yah, you can say God, the Lord, you can say whatever. You can say whatever variation of the name of the Lord, Yahweh, you can use any variation. But you know what? The one name, he said you absolutely, if you came into their circle and their organization, the one name you could not use, Yahweh. Now I'm gonna say this here. There's some of you out there who say, oh, well, we don't believe that Lashon Kodash is the original Hebrew. Look, you know what? I don't care about that because I was there and heard the terms and conditions. Immediately for me, it's clear to me that the Lord's name is indeed Yahweh. Because why would that be the one name he said you can't use? And when you listen to most of these Israelite groups out here, you'll hear Ahaya, you will hear Yahweh, you will hear Yah, but a great many of them don't use the name Yahweh any longer. Another term he said you had to follow. He said, as far as the shield of David is concerned, he said that if you take the money and come in under their circle, the Rosicrucian circle, let me clarify. He said that you would have to now teach. You would have to teach that the six-pointed star is satanic. Not that it is satanic, but you got to teach that it is. That was one of the conditions. How many groups out here right now don't use the shield of David, as it's called, a Hamagan Davada, the shield of David? How many of them are teaching that it's the star of Remphan? You come on, man. No, it's not. No, it's not. But that was one of the terms and conditions. Then he said further that if you come in under the umbrella, you no longer could have your own individual style, fashion, or garment that they would assign to you, depending on who you are, how far you want to go, they would assign to you the colors that they want you to wear. Again, what they want you to wear. So it's not by accident that everybody who come under IUIC wearing the Masonic colors of purple and gold. It's not by accident when you had at one time this Taladakia fool running around for 17 or more years, a few years back, and they all wore red and white. No individuality. You gotta wear their distinct colors and what they want you to wear. He went on to say, not only that when you teach, you can teach, but you can't condemn certain things and certain lifestyles anymore if you take the money. Now, of course, I couldn't believe my ears, and I'm not going to lie to you all. That night, it was about to be Hellion and Thundercats all up in the zone. Fights was about to erupt because we couldn't believe that these dudes had the nerve to bring this scumbag in. But it was something that Mr. Sidewinder, the Rosicrucian, said that chilled me to my soul. And he said, listen, we have, and this was back in, again, 1999, 1998, going to 1999. He said, listen, we have almost every black group. We have almost every black group under our umbrella, including other factions of your Israelite community. So you might as well come on in. That's what happened. These demons yesterday, and these demons are still in effect now. They sold out, and they're controlled opposition. And I hate them, man. I hate them. So when I heard that broadcast, Dark Tales, like I said, Salaya Benyard, David Anthony, it had me destroyed and distraught. Because again, as a young man, we were battling these evils way back then. And we got sold out and we got sacrificed by the so-called then elders of that time, with the exception of a brother named Kazak and one of our dead scribes, Yaquab. The others, they sold us out on the altar of Baphomet, man. And it's been downhill ever since. You have all kind of heathens and mongrels being allowed to put on Israelite clothing and make a mockery and a mess of this ministry. And it's being done deliberately. So yeah, that broadcast last night, man, it had me distraught. But again, these are conversations that must be had, and these are revelations that must be laid out. Yes, especially regarding the wives of other men. But you know what, brother? Salaya Ben Yah, that is not new. Again, see, in order for the government to be able to destroy an organization, especially an organization, see, the writings, particular of Malcolm X and Huey P. Newton. The Bible also said it, but I'm going to use today Malcolm X and Huey P. Newton. In their books, they indicated that when you see an organization that was dedicated to the spiritual reformation, the moral reformation of a people. When you see all of the sudden, all kinds of immoral and decadent and rancid behavior come in overnight, then you've been compromised. Yeah, man, that whole issue with other men's wives, brother, that has been a plague, an absolute plague. But at the same time, wait a minute though. This should not shock you, because there was a couple episodes here ago, I did a breakdown on the teachings of Artemis. What you see happening right now, that's why Paul and a contingent of Israelites had to go, and I think into Corinth in the 2nd century, and check what was happening in that church when you had the brothers allow some demonic sisters bring in the teachings of Artemis, and all that dealt with, even they try to clean it up now, talking about it's about nature and agriculture. No, it's about lascivious, nasty, hedonistic sexual practices. Yeah, man. These guys are implementing the teachings of Artemis in Israelite but disguised in Israelite clothing. As the Bible says in the book of Ecclesiastes, the 3rd chapter in the opening, there's nothing new under the sun. So, that dark tales, man, like I said, I gotta say, there are times where even I get rocked. Okay? Just when I think I've heard or seen it all, it's like, nah, brother, this is what's going on right now. And it's sad and embarrassing, because here it is for us to be out there in my time when I was young, to be out there talking about what the churches are doing and other religious organizations are doing, and yet you had traitors. When the Bible said that in the book of, I think it's 2 Timothy 3, that in the last days, perilous times will come upon us. Men shall be lovers of themselves. They'll be traitors. They weren't lying. They were not lying. And I'm going to say, it's one thing to read the Bible, you all, but to experience it. To experience Pharisees, Sadducees, to experience the whoremongering, deliberate whoremongering, and the teachings of various witchcrafts, but most notably Artemis, that's been implemented into the various so-called Israelite ministries. But I'm glad these men were bold enough, brave enough, and willing enough to put themselves possibly in harm's way, even though I know what we do here, we putting our lives at risk. We know we're leaving a very powerful and deep digital footprint that can be traced. But it's like this, man. It's better to, I will say, it's better to die on your shield as a man and a woman than being a obsequious, sycophant punk. It really is. Those are fancy words for, it's better to be a man and woman standing on what's right than to be the devil's bitch. That's basically what I was saying in a more fancy way. And it hurts me that a lot of sisters, good sisters, have been caught up in that dragnet of sexual abuse and misuse, or some female operatives have been allowed to come in Salaya Binyar, and be agents of chaos right along with a lot of men that have come in here to be agents of chaos. Understand? J. Edgar Hoover, they and the counterintelligence program, they are ruthless and have no compunction using illegal maneuvers to achieve the objective of uprooting and overturning any self-determination group, but especially when you're now proclaiming to be an Israelite. Make no mistake. See, every nation on the planet, every intelligentsia agency on the planet, their whole itinerary at all costs is to keep the true children of Israel from rising. Don't forget that back in 2023, you had an Israeli councilwoman named Judith Shore, who stated before the United Nations and other symposiums that the biggest problem that Israel and that the world is facing are young black men. Now, why does she say that? Because again, the records show that we are the children of Israel, one of the 12 families of the nation of Israel, allegedly Judah. Some of us are Native American and don't know it. But I'm like this, whatever family of the nation of Israel I may be, long as I'm Israel, I'm good. But Judith Shore knows what time it is. So yeah, that's why she, along with other people of other nations, consider us to be the biggest problem and threat on the earth right now. They have a problem with the fact that a great many of us are delineating, standing on our own, speaking on our own, have broadcasts like this come on, can't be controlled, can't be bought, can't be sold. But look, I came up in a zone where we had our own money. So why would I want to turn around and sell out to the devil and to devils willing to give me a portion of what is already mine that they stole from me? That's like someone coming up to you talking about, I'll give you the keys to your car and let you drive it if you give me rides in it. Man, if you don't give me my damn keys, I'm gonna knock you out. But these fools took the money. They took the bag. And they welcome in all this evil to, again, make the ministry look raggedy, y'all. And for those who are listening, I'm sure you've heard our testimony before on this issue, but last night, Dark Tales, damn, man. Wow. But again, we need these types of conversations. We need these types of, courageous men and women to now start exposing and outing the enemies within and the enemies without, but especially the enemies within. We can no longer afford to go on like this, brothers and sisters. It's just that simple. And for those who out there listening of other ethnicities, yes, you actually are listening to Practicing Hebrew Israelites. We strive. But see, unlike certain other groups, we don't inundate you with scriptures. We're not going to inundate you with, browbeating speeches, rude, brutish. We're not going to do that. We don't do that here. We are crying aloud, and we are lifting up our voice like a trumpet, and we don't spare anyone's feelings here, but still, we do it in a more delicate and intelligent manner. You know, there are some brothers who tend to be a little performative, you know, and it does, even I find it irksome. Read! Yeah. I'll pass, bro. Even I find that a little annoying and irritating. Okay. So moving on. Yeah, man. For all who are now listening, thank you for allowing us to come in your mind and cipher. You're now listening to an episode of The Lion's Den. The conversation continues talking about what's on your mind. We are your hosts, the Seventh Dance Lady Karima. And I am Dark Storm. And we hope that what you've been listening to thus far will have you ready, willing, and able to take time out, to check things out for yourself, study for yourself, and inspire you to put on your godly gift, your godly craft, embrace yourself for what's coming down the pike. Because like I said, here it is. Not only is Donald Trump getting ready to negotiate a $1.7 billion deal to allocate to himself and to some of his cronies. Again, this war in Israel, oh yeah. On the issue of the war in Israel. You know, on our last broadcast, again, that was titled The Great Commission. We talked about Donald Trump. He was so mad at Iran when they said that, no, wait. He was very angry. And he was calling Barack Obama a traitor. He wanted to bring him up on charges of treason, blah, 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 and blah, 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 blah. And then over the weekend, last weekend, it finally broke as to why Donald Trump said that. Because here it is. Certain leaders of Iran have made it quite clear that they're willing to sit down and negotiate with Barack Obama before they ever want to sit down and talk to Donald Trump. Oh, talk about Iran trolling. Talk about Iran trolling. Oh, now I understand why the DJT was so angry and in his feelings. He and Pete Hegseth, you know, and I forgot whatever the vice president's name is. Yeah, J.D. Vance. Now I understand why they were so mad. The fact that Iran said, yo, we want to talk to, but we'll talk to Barack Obama before we talk to you. We'll talk to the greatest president that the United States has ever had. Now, I'm no Barack Obama fan. I think that's a little, they reaching with that, but still, I get it. And boy, the president, he was mad. He mad. But let's face it, outside of Barack Obama, when you look at all the other presidents that have come and gone, many of them were babbling idiots. They had no business being president. They really didn't. And I have to give Barack Obama his credit when credit is due. He's measured. He has a certain cool, articulate, well-spoken, knows the ins and outs and ends of a great many subject matters. And he knows how to talk to people. Even if he's been a little on the, surreptitious side, the dark side of the Leo energy. He's a Leo. But still, the man, He's diplomatic and he knows how to talk. And Iran said, we'll sit down with him before we sit down with any of you guys. That's now we understand why Donald J. Trump was so mad. Because he hates Barack Obama. He been jealous of him for the longest. We done seen, I know I've seen videos where Ilana Trump, she comes alive when Barack Obama come on the set. Oh boy. I mean, she percolates. She smiles from ear to ear. Versus her looking miserable whenever she's with Trumpy boy. But yeah, this shows you where we're at in the world stage when Iran is saying they'd rather talk to Barack Obama before they talk to Donald Trump and the Republican bunch. But now, at the same time, ladies and gentlemen, speaking of treason, I do believe that Donald J. Trump and company should be brought up on charges of treason. Why? I thought we, according to them, won the war. Iran has been destroyed. They have no military. They have no navy. But yet they're controlling everything that's going on right now as we speak. We're still knee-deep in a war that's costing us millions a day. If not billions, millions a day, adding up to billions. I thought the war was over. But no, it's not. It isn't. It's still ongoing and getting worse. And you have these fools turning out America economically and leaving us with the proverbial bag with holes in it as they continue to get rich off this war. And of course, you know, the Epstein files and everything else involved in corruption goes ignored. So that's where we're at right now. And that's why I said at the top of this presentation, listen, man, yo, the baby boomer generation has been the most horrible, most selfish, not all of you, not all of you, but the ones in power who control and shot call, the most selfish, ruthless, vile generation to walk God's green earth, man. They left Generation X, Millennial, and the Y generation. They left us with nothing. And then you wonder why. And then they have the nerve to wonder why. So many young people are saying no to the military. And even though they're going to automatically boost them up the draft, I'm going to tell you right now where that's getting ready to go. Because as this war continues to step up and it's not going to end, they're going to bring back the draft. And I guarantee you, we don't advocate sedition. We do not advocate any kind of rebellion. But you're going to see all kinds of people saying, hell no. They're not going to go. They're not. Listen. And we here on the Conversation Continue, the Lion's Den, we'll never put forth any treasonous or seditious advocacies. But what we will say is this here. For all you young folks out there, young men in particular, who are of draft age, please understand, you can take on I'm going to suggest that you take on the same attitude that is used to justify abortion. Your body, your choice. Your life, your choice. Gentlemen, if you get caught in that draft thing, don't forget, it's your life and your choice. Your body, your choice. It should not be that some broke down, draft dodging punks, Vietnam, Korean War, whatever, should be bold enough and brave enough to send you off to die for a fight they started. Keep that in mind. Your body, your choice. I'm not saying if they come calling, don't go. I'm not saying that because I don't want to be arrested for sedition nor treason. But I am going to suggest, don't forget, your body, your choice. And hey, why should you go fight a war you didn't start? Why should you go fight for a government that don't give you a dime in social assistance of any kind? That's cutting your legs off to own a home, even an apartment. You making Frankenbean wages, living in a steak and caviar economy. But here you have these men who are so brave and so bold to start a war, but they broke down decrepit orthopedic shoe wearing asses and they'll send you off to die. But don't forget, gentlemen, your body, your choice. your life, your choice. Now we'll put a suggestion out there. And we'll leave it right there. But I'm a firm believer in follow the leader. And if my leader was a draft dodging punk, Vietnam draft dodging punk, my leader shouldn't be out here, if you want to call him that, shouldn't be out here ready, willing, and able to start wars to send you up to die while they're comfortable eating and watching WWE, while you dodging bullets and bombs and all kinds of other improvised incendiary devices. Yeah, that's right. Keep that in mind. We're talking about your life. And I can't, and like Chuck D said, I got a letter from the government the other day, open, and said, and they were suckers. They wanted me for the army or whatever, picture me giving a damn. I said, never. And that was, consider that. That what I find so nerve-wracking, if you will. And here it is, these guys were all Vietnam draft dodgers. Oh, I have bone spurs, my body hurts. When Vietnam was going on. But they are all so bold and brave. And let's not forget, young men and women that are listening to this broadcast, just take a real good look at veterans like myself and veterans who served in Desert Storm and how broke down and destroyed they are, and a great many of them don't get the help they need. I gotta fight for every benefit and crumb I get. And I got discharged medically. And they put me through hell to get what I'm entitled. Because as far as this military is concerned, you're an asset, an expendable asset. I'm sure you've heard that statement before if you watched the movie Predator. See, that's where they got that from. Under Richard Milhouse Nixon, there was a guy who was known as, who was the former Secretary of State, Henry Kissinger, who looked at American soldiers as being expendable assets. You can be used to go out and die for their cause, and it's no big deal. But meanwhile, when you need help monetarily, these jobs that ain't paying you a dime, all the different programs that used to be available for you, they're cutting to finance these wars and send to other countries, and yet they're ready to send you a letter saying, "Greetings, Mrs. So-and-so. Would you please be so kind as to report to the nearest military installation for your indoctrination and for your processing into the branch of service that we will need you to join and send you off to fight, although you didn't start the war." I mean, look, that is like, insane to me. And that's why I know, and we've done shows on it already. We're showing you the temperature of this generation. I'm going to give the millennial and Z generation, I'm going to give you millennial and Y generation. I'm going to tip my hat to you. I'm now in my elder statesmanship. I'm passing the baton to you all. And I got to give it to you. Y'all not up for taking what we took. Gen X. Some of us, we bought into the program. We bought into the lie. Some of you generation millennial and Y, I take my hat off to you. Don't be a sucker. Don't be suckered. And you stand up for and you advocate for your life and your rights. And again, your life, all right, and your right, okay? Does it sound feasible for someone that you don't know to send you a letter saying they require you to join their military, where they gonna designate where they send you, all right, for you to die for a cause you didn't start? Think about it. Just think about it. And as we move on, like I said, you're now tuned into the Lion's Den as the conversation continues, talking about what's on your mind. We're your host, the Seventh Answer Lady Karima, and I am Brother Dark Storm. And as you can see, tonight's theme, like I said, if you want to come in and join, let's say some of you out there may not agree with what I just said a minute ago. Military service, whatever, you might not agree. You may say I'm not being patriotic. You want to come in and discuss that? Come on, boy. Like I said, I welcome a point counterpoint. All right? Or maybe you want to talk about something else. You might see something that's going on in your neck of the woods. Come through, talk. You have witnessed us have some very powerful conversations with guests who come in, bite the bullet, and have a good time while they're here. But if not, like I said, we're going to continue on, but we thank you for allowing us to come into your mind, soul, and cipher. And as you can see, we're not professional liars. We're not professionally paid liars. We're not going to lie to you. And when we say we bring frequently accurate, correct truths, the facts, that's all we're going to continue to do here. Because again, this is the show, The Lion's Den, where we ask, aren't you tired of being lied to? Well, if you are, Well, you've come to the right place at the right time, no doubt. And the bottom line is, right, we want you to be careful out here, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, there are a lot of bad elements and bad people out here. And again, normally you will see us use videos and stuff, but please ride with us and rock with us, because you know why? Look, again, there are certain people that watch these episodes and everything else, and now they be on their fifis, their feelings, okay? And again, we get tired of people, oh, well, they used this here, and they shouldn't have used it, and we get flagged. So we talk about certain stories, and if we urge, take out your pen, your notebook, and write these stories down. And you can, while in real time, while we're talking about this, if you have 2 or more phones, you have Wi-Fi, you can check things out for yourself. But the bottom line is, we were talking about at the beginning of this show, we were talking about the unfortunate killing of Amanda Rosa and Victor Rosa out in Las Vegas by Mrs. Amanda Rosa's ex-husband, Alejandro Estrada, who he was angry about child support payments and things he got behind on, and he unalived her, Mrs. Amanda Rosa, and her husband Victor Rosa, and then was going to go on a shooting spree. And you had until he was stopped by Makani Clark and Darius Alston. And now these 2 gentlemen, these 2 black men, there are certain forces out here right now that want to bring these men up on charges of using excessive force, y'all. 2 unarmed black men who put their lives at risk. And what's their thanks, you all? Their thanks is, well, should they be brought up on charges? Can we bring them up on charges? So even when they're heroes, but because they're black, they're looking to be villainized. There's certain media forces looking to villainize them. This is the world that we've inherited, ladies and gentlemen. And that's why I say you should be happy to have the Lion's Den at your service, because here we're going to give you the truth, the whole truth, the whole divine truth, and let you understand exactly what you're dealing with out here in the world today. Like I said, the racism in this country is blatant. You'll be a fool now if you pretend that you don't see it. But we're going to continue to, like I said, dig, and dig some more to keep you informed and keep you on the right train and right track on how this world gives it up. Okay? And again, like I said, we're having an open discussion. We welcome you. I'm going to make sure I don't get too fanatical with announcing that over and over. But the bottom line is, like I said, we welcome you to join us if you have anything on your mind that you want to discuss. And like I said, we want you to come in and talk to us. Because you know what? Look, I don't know everything. Karima, she doesn't know everything. But we know what we do know. We know everything that we do know. And again, we all see the world different, the same, but differently at the same time. And so it's all right to have these powerful discussions. And we've had powerful discussions on previous episodes, and I'm really open for some of y'all to come in, because some of y'all got a lot going on. And it's okay to share your knowledge with the world. Now, also want to just recap real quick. You know, although I had some harsh criticisms about the Michael Jackson biopic, Michael, I must say, and give credit where credit is due, clearly the movie must be good in its structure, and it's now reached is $700 million. $700 million gross. All right, so yeah, I have to give credit where credit is due. Congratulations to Anton Fuqua, and Jafar Jackson, and their tremendous success, regarding Michael Jackson, the biopic, Michael. And like I said, even now there's still forces out there from a racist standpoint that want to, condemn Michael. He long dead, was found innocent, all right? And yet they still want to say he was a pedophile. See, vindictive. Vindictive is all get out. And this is why when we come here, there's some of you who have asked, why come you always talk about race? Look, stop asking us that. When clearly you see racism is all throughout the world. Let's stop pretending that we don't understand how this government works. And why you need mediums like the Lions Den to come here and be able to show and prove what we're up against. Now, I don't know how true this is, but there's also now a possible new STD, a new sexually transmitted disease that's out. I'm currently investigating it, but from a biblical standpoint, we have been told that in the last days, when the judgments of the Lord begin, and when the 4 horsemen release their vials on the earth, that one of them will be plagues that are not named in the Bible. Right now, there's a new STD emerging. I don't know if it's new or not, but the bottom line is, listen, ladies and gentlemen, the food that we're eating is contaminated, grossly contaminated. The water that we're drinking, grossly contaminated. The music that we're listening to, the programming that we're listening to, contaminated, grossly contaminated. And that's why it's so imperative now more than ever, to guard your health, stay on top of what's going on around you, keep a swivel head, and understand and listen, at the start and end of every day is going to be your responsibility to make sure that what you're listening to, what you are being told, are not lies. Because see, again, we live in a world right now where you have broadcast journalists, so-called broadcast journalists, who with $1 million contracts plus, professionally being paid to lie to you. I want you to think about that for a second. Now here you have this medium and other medium. Some of us, there's some who ask for a Cash App standpoint. I do this because I love what I do. Free. My payments come from the Lord. I get hooked up. Believe me when I tell you, it may not always be money, but a blessing always comes. But there are people out here who are paid to lie to you. And I'm going to keep emphasizing, that's why you should be thankful for the Lions Den. You should share these shows. Participate in the shows. Because you know why? One thing about black folk, I have to say, we always tend to complain. Always. But when solutions are brought forth, you don't utilize your solutions. You don't utilize them. There's some of you out there, oh, well, you guys come on so late. Well, on my side of the coast, it's now 1 o'clock in the morning for my night owls. Ooh, ooh. But listen, some of y'all are up. A lot of you be up doing nothing or doing things you ought not to do. So when we come on at this hour in my neck of the woods, you should be thankful because now we're giving you the opportunity by the Lord's grace to be able to be distracted in a healthy way. All you out there in other time zones, some of y'all is early still. But still, even if my coming on at 1 o'clock in the morning, being on at 1 o'clock in the morning, you're still going to benefit. So all our night owls, again, we thank you for taking the time out to ride with us. All right? And again, be mindful of what you eat, what you drink, who you keep company with. Yo, for my ladies out there, listen, y'all. And for you gentlemen too, listen. I know that life can be lonely. You want to meet someone, but these dating app sites, y'all really need to leave that alone. I'm sorry. It's just too many back-to-back stories of people being killed. You got a lot of weirdos and freaks out here. So listen, it's okay to be single. Trust me, it is. It really is. It's a beautiful thing to be single these days. Now, if you are blessing your luck out, will you meet someone and you all vibe, click, politic, and you're compatible? Then okay, rock it out. Go, just go. But most of these dating app sites, man, there are a lot of kooks, crazies out here that are hell bent on hurting you, both male and female. All right, so please be careful. And even if you're not using dating sites and you're meeting people, guys and girls, please be careful who you dealing with. If need be, get their name, do a background check, go into a police precinct, ask them to do a report real quick to see if you really have to check on who you dealing with. For you ladies out there, especially when you have daughters, be careful who you bring into your home around your daughters, especially. There's just too much happening, and we're living in a time where we're living in a very strong information-aged time, and you should be on top of these things. Like I said, sure, everyone wants companionship. You want to meet someone. Some of you're in love with the idea of being married and all that, but today, in today's atmosphere, is it really worth it to put your life at risk? No, seriously, to put your life at risk. I don't know about any of you, but I still keep up on shows like Snap, Deadly Women, the First 48. Hey, listen. It is just too much happening. So here on the Lions Den, we're going to give you that public service announcement where we tell you, be careful who you align yourself with and who you deal with. Hence the theme tonight. open discussion, the conversations that you are afraid to have. But we're not afraid to tackle that. As you know, Brother Salih Ben Yah said, even in these religious, so-called religious institutions, spiritual institutions, you have all kinds of mayhem and craziness going on. The sexual abuse and misuse. And you promise to be in a committed relationship. Yo, your word should be your bond. And let me tell you why. See, a lot of people don't realize that when you get involved with someone on a committed level, the first thing you're telling them is not you love them. The first thing you're telling a person when you get involved in a committed relationship is that I am now trusting you with my life. When you invite, ladies and gentlemen, when you invite someone, even on a friendly level, people that you invite into your circle, social, you are telling them when you invite them in that they can trust you with their lives, and you're now trusting them with your lives. And as you can see, there are some people out here who can't be trusted worth a damn when it comes to your life, who are ready to take your life on the low. And that's what I'm saying. When it comes to these dating sites and all that, man, yo, let that go. Let it go. Leave it alone. Because there's just too many horror stories out here that of these sites and people meeting and greeting and they getting themselves deleted. And I don't want some, oh, you're generalizing. I'm not generalizing. Not at all. You can just Google it. It's so simple now to statistically look up the horror stories that I speak of. And again, when you are inviting someone into your circle, you're letting that person know you're not trusting them with their lives. And there's some people you can't trust with your life. You should not be trusting them with your life. And you need to do a background check. And like I said, the proof is in the pudding. Okay? But right about now, look, normally I would give you all a 3 hour, but I'm gonna have to cheat y'all right about now. Cause I gotta bail out. So seventh answer, listen, we're gonna close up shop right about now. I actually got something I just got a notification on a personal level. You know when you get those kinds of notifications at this time, it might not be good. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna close out. All right. And you've now been thoroughly informed and given a very powerful lecture and lesson and discussion here on the Lion's Den. The theme being having conversations that you are afraid to have. So as you can see, excuse me, as you can see, Karima and myself, we are graduates of the late great Bernie Mac, when he said, see, my comedy, when I get up here, I say what you scared to say, but it need to be said. And so it is, that's how we operate and get down. We thank you for allowing us to come into your mind, soul, and cipher. I'm sorry, I gotta cheat you this half an hour, but I really have to go. So seventh answer, look, we thank you again. And in the spirit of Don Cornelius on the Hebrew tip, you know, we say, Shalom, peace, Ahab, love, and Napash, soul. Don't worry, we'll be right back at you. And I want you all to take care. Have a good night and have a good day and all that good stuff. So Seventh Answer, please take us out because I have to go, okay?
Okay.